Yeah, well, as I said before, the fight's a celebration of all the hard work you put in beforehand. So I trained super hard, I was super focused, I was hungry, and I think everything came to fruition.
Tim, you said before the fight you were happy to bang, you were happy to go to war with him, and you did just that. You physically handled him really easily. You pretty happy with the way that went down for you?
Yeah, well, Jeff kept saying about how strong and tough he's going to be. What I did for the last year and a half was that exactly the same thing. I knew that this fight was going to happen, and I knew that Jeff was going to be tough. So I created a game plan where instead of boxing, I'll be able to bang. I'll be able to push him. I'll be able to stand my ground where he usually ragdolls people around, and it came to my positivity where I was the stronger man on the night.
Tim, it feels like a passing of the torch. Do you feel that way, that you're now the biggest name in Australian boxing?
Look, it's not up to me to say. All I can do is just keep winning and focus.
I'll answer that. He's our biggest star. He's the new face of Australian boxing, and he's our next superstar. You don't get a performance like that. You beat a guy like Jeff Horn, who is an absolute warrior. And we're talking about a guy that's beat Manny Pacquiao. We're talking about a guy that turns up, and you've seen him out there tonight. You've seen the Jeff Horn that turned up. He was ready to fight, and we now know where Tim Tszyu stands in Australia. But look out the world, he's coming.
Tim, are you ready for that title shot? I mean, it's sort of been up there in the ether as such that that's the next possibility of Teixeira or
the world title. It's up to my team. Again, step by step. It's a mountain you've got to climb. And once you're at the top, there's one thing to get to the top, but there's one thing to stay at the top. My goal is to stay at the top.
Question for Matt. Matt, obviously a big win tonight. Future plans for the promotional team to fight again, maybe in November or December?
Yeah, let's see how Timmy pulls up. But look, prior I spoke to Glenn, and we had planned to fight one more time this year. But let's see how Timmy pulls up from this. That fight out there was, it was a war, and if Timmy comes through okay,
I'm fine.
If he's fine, we're going again this year then. So Timmy just answered the question for me. Look, we want to fight. We would have loved to fight a few more times this year. Obviously, COVID has stopped us. We got this fight on. Now let's look towards the end of the year. We really want to get one more in.
That's gone to the US, like ESPN. Was that a breakout performance from Tim? Was that the kind of performance that people around the world now start?
Well, the world just seen him, what he did to Jeff Horn. Now, like I said,
Could have done better.
yeah. Well, okay.
Where could you done better, Tim?
In every way. I've got to rewatch the fight.
Yep.
Got hit a few times.
Yep.
So, there's no such thing as a perfect performance, of course, but you want to always strive to be perfect. And people may say that was a good performance, but for me, it wasn't good enough.
Do you think you'd be ready for a world title shot, Tim?
I believe in myself. I truly do. I believe I am destined for that road, and that's always been my goal, is to get to the very top and challenge myself.
What about
if I beat Jeff Horn, that means, look, he's a former world title. He's a former world champion. He beat Manny Pacquiao. He's knocked out. He's beaten the best here in Australia as well. So if I beat Jeff, I can say that I can go to the next chapter in my career.
Do you want to get to Russia for a fight, mate? Like, I know that was something old man had to do, but
that's always been my dream. I've got plenty of support down in Russia. If Matty can organise something there, and I think Matty would be keen as well.
We've been working on something in the background for a long period of time, but obviously we've got to look at the current pandemic that exists. It's pretty difficult at the moment to do any sort of world travel. That's why we've just got to sum up what we do at the end of the year. That performance, it's not long ago that Jeff Horn fought Terence Crawford, and a similar result happened. So Timmy's ready for the world. It's just that hopefully we can get past this pandemic and then show the world who Timmy Tszyu is, because they got the switch on today. It was on ESPN. It was on Match TV in Russia. Apparently went absolutely crazy in Russia. They like Timmy said, they love him over there. I think ESPN and what they would have seen in America would have seen what sort of performance Timmy put in, like he said, he's got a lot more to go.
Hey Tim, when did you control and Jeff was in trouble?
Straight from round one. Actually, once he got a bit tired, I felt he was starting to go downhill. I knocked him down once. Twice. Yeah. My fitness was on another level, and I felt it. I do 4-minute rounds during training, and I do 30-second rest. So that the minute break, halfway through, I was getting ready to get up. And I think what won in this fight was of course my physicality and strength. It wasn't my boxing skills; it was my fitness and physicality and how conditioned I was. And again, that was purely because of the prep I did. If you put in the work, you'll get results.
Tim, after the fight, you said, my name's Tim. You liked that was a really nice line. Was that just about saying, this is me, here I am, I'm not...
Look, people are always going to compare me to my dad, and what my dad did was truly out of this world. He was a world champion, undisputed world champion for 10 years. It's something to do that, it's beyond crazy. So I'm always going to float around, that son of Kosh is always going to float around, but I just wanted to say, you know what, this is Tim Tszyu who beat Jeff Horn, and it wasn't the son. It wasn't because of my last name. It wasn't because of this and that. It was purely for the fact that Tim Tszyu trained hard and got the victory.
So you're trying to get the country, I guess, to know you better. You're obviously very focused ahead of a fight, but you're relaxed now. Do you take the chance to sort of introduce yourself to the country and get that following?
Well, hopefully I introduced myself.
That performance, hopefully that performance.
Hopefully people
I
know me now.
know a lot of people will know him after that performance. If they don't, they're hiding under a rock, I can tell you that much.
Tim, what do you do to celebrate? Do you let yourself have a beer? Is there any food you've been craving?
I'm not really into my beers.
Any food you've missed out on?
Yeah, I've missed out on a bit of burgers.
There's 10 burgers going up in his room right now.
Timmy, Timmy, you're really...
Michael Zarafa thinks you're running scared. Will you give him a shot?
Didn't Jeff Horn just beat him? That's all I can say. I've got nothing to say.
I really
I
don't
just
Is
beat.
it an option or is he...
Well, it's all up to me.
look,
It's all up to my
look,
promoters.
look,
Honestly, I couldn't care less.
Timmy doesn't, to be honest. I'm dead serious.
I just get told who's put in front of me and I'll fight them.
He doesn't care. Honestly. We'll sit down, we'll have a look at all options. At the end of the day, like I said, we're not in an ideal situation. But I tell you what, Townsville itself, what a place. What a city. What a city.
We love the here.
Oh, absolutely. It's beautiful. The crowd come out. And you know what?
I love that in Queensland. Queensland
Yeah.
is the great
Well,
state.
we might adopt we may adopt Queensland.
Right, careful what you say.
New South Wales,
Don't go too far.
Wales are hard, but Queensland's it's got a special place.
Yeah, it does. But honestly, and to put on a performance like that in Townsville, we're coming back. I'll tell you, we'll be back sometime soon. We won't let them. I heard the crowd there tonight, and it was 50-50. But by the end, they see who the champion was, and we really want to look at Townsville as an option moving forward.
Timmy really back to training on Monday? Is that you dead serious about that? That's
Yeah,
how
I'll be
focused?
back.
I'm telling you, I've never seen so. I said in the press conference, I told you he was the fittest man in Australia. I'm telling you, I've seen him train. I've seen NRL stars
What
train.
am I going to do? Sit at home on the couch?
Mate, you saw something in Tim a couple of years ago, and you wanted him in your team. How proud are of you the way that it's all worked
And I
out for
cried
you?
at the end. That's how proud I was. I'll be honest with you. I told him I was going to cry, and then I tried not to, and then I cried. So, man, you can't be any more proud of Tim. The whole team. It's a family unit. Looking at, he's got his grandpa there. He's got his uncle. He's got his manager that's gone through from his dad through to him. I mean, you don't get no much better than that. When I walk in and I see him like that, that gets me. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. Dr. Bill, he's there from with his dad. Everyone that's there is all connected, and it's, for me, it's a special moment watching that all play out over the last 14 months. When we signed Tim, we're looking for a marquee. We're looking for someone as a face of boxing, Australian boxing, and take to another level. And Timmy's just comes through like there's no tomorrow. You look at from the first fight, you know, with the Joel Camilleri fight to now, wow. That's all I can say. You go back and have a look at that fight, and then you look at tonight, and you'll be astounded.
Tim, if this is Jeff Hall's last fight, what can you say about his contribution to Australian boxing?
Look, he did 3 stadium shows. He's created events for Australia that people get excited about. And that's what boxing does. It's crazy how 2 fighters can bring so much attention. It's not a soccer team. It's not 20 players playing at once. It's just 2 guys fighting and bringing the whole nation standing still and watching the fight. So, and Jeff has done it multiple times. So, you know, he's had a great career. If it is over for him, you know, good luck to him with everything. He's done well for Australia.
Turns out it's pretty good. That was a pretty impressive performance from your opponent.
It was a very impressive performance by Tim tonight. He was very good. No, I can't say anything bad about him because he just made me look silly out there.
Were you surprised, Jeff, at just how clinical he was?
Yeah, look, it was a surprise at how good he was. I thought I was going to be able to surprise him, but look, I was slightly off on my attacks and stuff, but that was probably all credit to him as well because he was just making me feel like I was probably bad as well. So I don't know. I'd have to look at the tape and watch it back myself, but he definitely deserves all the credit.
When did you feel it sort of turning in his favour? Did you get a sense of how
I knew after a few rounds, my corner were probably telling me that I wasn't winning the rounds, and I could tell them, what am I doing? What am I going to do to win this fight? So I was trying to change it up, but he was very sharp on the back foot, and he has very good ring presence. So he was either forward at me or going back. So yeah, he was very good.
Jeff, I guess the obvious thing is moving forward. What are you going to do? Are you thinking about walking away? Are you going to stay in the sport?
Look, I've got to go home, reevaluate things, talk to the family, and yeah, that's where I'll go from here.
Glenn, what would you like to see Jeff do?
You know, firstly, I'd just like to say that Jeff has done wonders, you know, for boxing in Australia. I mean, that historic win over Manny Pacquiao was unbelievable. You know, I think he's done it all. He's beaten the best, you know, the fighter of the decade. He's done it all. And I think, you know, it's like, Tim's a great boxer that I have no doubts, as Jeff said, he's hungry. You can see he's a hungry lion out there, and Jeff is. Jeff can beat anyone in the world. It probably wasn't Jeff's best night tonight. It wasn't a great night, but you know, it comes down to Jeff. Really, you've just got to decide what he wants to do. And you know, if Jeff wanted to hang up his gloves, I wouldn't have any issues. I'd say, Jeff, you've done it all. You've climbed the highest mountain there is in boxing. You know, you've done the Mount Everest in boxing, so I wouldn't have any issues. I think of him like a son. I think the world of him, and his health is, of course, the most important thing to me, always. You know, and I think, again, he's done the best he could tonight against a very young, hungry, talented lion out there. So I take nothing away from Tim, and I take nothing away from Jeff. It is what it is, and you know, Jeff's just got to decide. As he said, he should just sit down with his family. I've got no excuses, none at all. I'm not here to make any excuses. I'm just here to say that Jeff has done just amazing things in his boxing career. But you've always got to question if the hunger there, and if it's not. If the hunger's not there, his life has changed. He's got 2 beautiful daughters, a lovely wife, and he's got nothing left to prove. So if Jeff said to me, you know, hey, I'm done, but I would encourage him not to ever make a quick decision. I think these are things you've got to think about carefully. But you know, whatever he does, I'll support him 100%, and I'll always think the world of Jeff, you know, and to what he's done for Australian boxing and for himself and his family. So again, it's really up to Jeff. He's just got to sit down and decide: is the hunger there to you know, to continue, or should he just go, hey, I've had a brilliant career, but I just don't feel like getting up every morning and just smashing that bag and those hills and what's got to be done. You can see, you know, Tim has literally trained his guts out for this, and you can see that. You know, so.
Sorry, then what happened? I saw someone had a towel in their hand towards the end of the 8th round. What happened? Can you describe from that moment and then what happened in the corner?
Okay, what happened the last couple of rounds, we were saying to Jeff, you've got to show us something. You've got to show us that you've still got. I've always said you never want to go into a shotgun fight with a pop gun. Firstly, you've got to show us that you've still got the power to put him away, and the hunger and the motivation and the drive. And Jeff was saying, I want to keep going, but
I'm not going to give up.
No,
I'm not someone to give up.
We know how competitive Jeff is, but what we've got to do as a team, as the corner, is just say to ourselves, has he still got the pop left in him to win this fight? Because naturally we don't want to see him suffer any more damage. And I'm thankful, by the way, that he doesn't need to have any stitches. That's been the first for a while, so we're very pleased about that. But so my concern and that of Ben's, his brother, and of course Steve and so forth was, does he have the pop? And we were going to say, Ben and I were saying, let's give him 1 minute in round 9 to see if he can get out there and land that big shot. If he can land a really big shot. We all know, we just saw the Dillian White fight. The guy's a mile in front, one punch, it's all over. So we know how volatile boxing can be, but did he have that punch left in him, or is he just taking punishment unnecessarily? So we were going to give him 1 more minute, but Phil just come over and called it and said, I'm stopping the fight. So
also, Phil Austin made it.
So
the ref stopped the fight. Yeah, the referee stopped.
Glenn mentions the word hunger. Do you feel the hunger is still there, or has it diminished somewhat?
Well, literally right now, I'm not very hungry. Not after the fight, but look, I probably don't have the hunger of what the Tim Tszyu probably has. Really, I don't have that type of hunger. I've been there, done the world title. I guess I was just fighting for the big fights, and this was one of them.
Do you think he can go?
Look, I told him he can go all the way. Tim's definitely got the ability. As I've been saying, and I said it prior to the fight, that he's his father's son, but that's probably a good thing too, because Costa's an absolute legend, and Tim's starting to prove that he can be that too. And I said that he has to beat me to prove that, and he's certainly on the way to some bigger and better things. And all the best to Tim in his career. I can only wish him well. He's a nice bloke. We've nothing bad to say about Tim, and all the best to him.
Jeff, you've been in a guy like Bud Crawford, who's one of the best in the world. Do you feel like, what did Tim feel like compared to that? I mean, do you feel like Tim could compete at that sort of level?
Look, Tim was very good in regards to Bud. I struggled to remember that fight back, to be honest. It was probably similar feelings, I guess. So I can't say no, he wouldn't stand a chance against him, because Tim was very good. So it'd be a fight I'd definitely be interested in watching if we can make that happen.
I mean, just on the referee's decision, just so I can reiterate, are you happy with that decision to end the fight?
I have no concerns. If I would have been in Phil's position, I would have been thinking I was very close to calling it if I was in his position. So I have no qualms about the referee's decision to call time, because we were, as I said, as a team, quite close to that position. But I just know what a competitor. I walked out of a poker game last night with Jeff Horn. I thought he had no chance of winning, and he ended up winning it. Like, he's just that sort of competitive person.
My luck came too early.
We saw him in Zarafa too, when he pulled that punch out, from nowhere. And I have such incredible faith in Jeff Horn that I said, let's give him 1 minute into round 9 and just see. And then Phil came over and said that, and I thought, I understand where you're coming from, Phil, and yes, the referee's obligation is to protect the fighters at all times, so I had no issue with it, as I say, and we can never say what could have or would have happened, of course, but I just didn't feel tonight it was Jeff's night tonight, and for whatever reasons that was, but the pop just wasn't quite there. And Jeff would probably agree.
I'll say I want a rematch with Tim Tszyu. I do. I really want a rematch with Tim Tszyu, but I want a rematch in poker or something. I saw all your eyes going,
Jeff, you're a smart guy. You've always said you don't want to be in this game for too long. You don't want to be taking punishment. You've got family, children, a great future. You've got some serious conversations to have with your wife now when you get home. That could have been your final time in a boxing ring. I mean, that's a reality.
Yeah, you never know. I guess time will tell. We'll have to go home and talk to Jo, but I'm pretty sure I know what she's going to want to say. But look, in the end, it's all up to me, and I've got to think: have I got more left in the tank, or is that it? So that's what I've got to do. I've got to just do some soul searching because I can't finish this for anyone else but myself.
Jeff, do you have any idea perhaps why you were a bit flat, why the pop wasn't there? Because your prep was fantastic, you looked in incredible shape, but it did look even in those early rounds like you just weren't quite what we've seen.
Yeah, look, I can't explain what it was. I guess it's styles make fights, and Tim's boxer style and on the back foot and his counter fighting was very good, and it might not have been that I was that bad, it was just that he was that good. So I don't know, there's probably a little bit of both, but I can't take anything away from the guy because he fought so well and he was able to stop me, so what can I say?
You're very gracious in defeat, Jeff, but how heartbreaking is that?
It is heartbreaking. Look, it's my career on the line. There's big fights to happen. Dean knows it, all the opportunities after this. There's $1 million paydays, world title fights that are going to be up for grabs, and Tim's going to get those, and good on him. Well done. I guess I've been there, done that, but it would have been great to go and do it all again, especially at this weight. I feel like I was suited to more so than definitely middleweight. Maybe not so much welterweight. I was suited to welterweight, but just with age, I've grown a little bit. But yeah, I don't know what I'm on about.
Yeah, again, it's one of these things that Jeff just needs to, as you understand, take time out. I think we need to watch the footage back, but the key thing is he's got to sit down and have a chat with his family and decide really. And I think all these sorts of big decisions should never be made hastily. I think they should be measured. He should sit down and really think carefully through all as you know, I've discussed this over the last couple of days about weighing up carefully all the moving parts, thinking everything through, and then making a decision that he's comfortable with. Whatever that is, rest assured I'll support him 100%, because as I say, I think the world of him.
Do you remember how you felt when the ref called it? Like what your first reaction was to that?
Look, it was probably the first thing that goes through your head is probably relief. I'm never going to throw in the towel myself. I'm never going to say I've had enough. But yeah, it was probably more a relief than anything that the ref was like, I've seen enough. I was like, all right.
Jeff, everyone was saying you looked a bigger guy in the lead up than Tim. Were you surprised by his precision and power?
Yeah, I was. He was very precise, Tim, very sharp, and I've got all compliments for his boxing style. He did very well out there and made me feel a little bit silly. So yeah, I can't wait to watch what his future entails.
Yeah, that's what